So as you can see, I'm sitting with my legs crossed. I want you to find a comfortable seated position. If you can also sit in Sukhasana, happy position like I am, please do so. If there's another position that you need to use, even if you need to sit in a chair, that's fine. It's not important that you're on the floor. Just waiting till people are not moving around as much. Okay, so now interlock your fingers and place, I have a little microphone here, and place your hands on your navel band. So your navel band is where your belly button is. You can feel where that is. Your hands are there, and you're just going to have your hands in this navel band area and slightly draw your navel band back until you feel a sense of stability come to your lower back, lumbar spine area. We'll get into this a little bit more after the invocation, just introducing things now. Don't worry if you don't follow everything. Now, when you think about your pelvis, I'm just putting one hand in the front of my pelvis, the other hand in the back. Melanie's doing it too. She's also on camera. There she is. So you want to feel as if both hands are parallel to each other and parallel to the wall in front and behind you. So there's this idea that you're not pushing your low back forward, right? We're not going to do that in this workshop, but we're going to bring a sense of length and stability to the low back area. There'll also be a chance to do some core strengthening and aligning. Okay, so that's the basic. Now, one more point, you can put your hands back on your thighs. One more point is the sit bones. So you can think about the sit bones like a knuckle, right? And like a knuckle, it has a rounded quality to it. Now, just for a moment, you can rock a little bit forward and back on your sit bones. It's like a rocking chair, aren't they? So find, right, that center sit bone area where the navel band naturally draws back, front and back of the pelvis naturally remain parallel to the wall in front and behind. All right, so that's a lot. So close your eyes for a moment. Let that information sink in, not just to your brain, but let your body absorb that instruction and that sense of alignment. Now, often when people experience low back pain, it's from a hypermobility or there's a kind of disc issue. So both things will be addressed as we're working today. Now, maintaining that sense of stability in your lower spine, lift your chest up and take your shoulders back and down. And then join your hands together at your heart. We'll do the invocation together. If you're not familiar with it, it's fine. You can just listen to the vibration of the sound. Yogena chitasya padena vacham malam shairasya chavajakena yopakartam pravaram muninam Patanjalim pranjalir anatosmi abahu purushakaram shankar chakrasidaryam Sahasra Shirasam Shredam Pranamami Patanjalim Hari Om. Now take a moment to observe whether you remained on the center of your sit bones or whether you unconsciously rolled to the front, pushed your low back forward, and let your navel band move out. If you did that, then draw the navel band back. Get right on the center of your sit bones again. And then keeping your chest lifted, lower your head to your hands. Lower your hands to your thighs. And then raise your head and let your eyes open. Okay, go ahead and stretch your legs out. And then I'm going to have Melanie come stand up with her back to you. And we're going to look at the low back, lumbar spine area just to start with some terms. So come on over, get right up in the center, turn around. There we go. Okay. So Melanie and I are in a germ pod together, just so you know. I know it's a funny time that we're living in. So I'm close to her, but we're in that pod already. So if you look at the spine, the lower spine is the lumbar spine. It's 5 vertebrae, right? And this part of your back carries most of the weight of your body. It all lands here. So it's not surprising that people either have some low back ache or are interested in avoiding it because they know someone who does. All right? Now, in terms of how we're going to work today, we're going to work on lengthening this area. So show from the side, look out the window, Mel. So what happens, raise your arms up so they're not in the way. Yeah. So what happens for some people is the low back has hypermobility. Melanie's going to show that. Yes. And that is not a good thing. So watch, the instruction will be, can you redo? Sorry, I don't want to keep you there in pain. So watch, she'll take her top buttocks to her bottom buttocks. Did you see that? And then the bottom back ribs need to lift up. And that's going to bring length and an extension in that low back area. All right? Now, go ahead and turn from the, put your arms down, turn to the front now. Sorry, I was trying to figure it out. Now the navel band, point to your belly button. There are different places for all of us. Some are high, some are low. Now that area needs to widen and draw back. Okay, so you want to be clear that you're not sucking and hardening your abdomen back, but you're widening and aligning your core close to your low back vertebra. Okay, so let's begin now. You're going to start by lying, just watch for a moment actually so you can see. So watch for a moment. So I'm going to lie on my back. And I'm not doing anything because what I want you to observe and what I'm observing is just what my body does if I don't adjust it, what kind of its natural state is. So I investigate and I say, okay, there's a lot of space between my low back and the floor. And yes, there should be some space, but that seems like a lot. My pelvis isn't parallel to the ceiling, it's tilted slightly. So now I'm gonna bend my legs, just the instruction I just gave. You take your top buttocks to your bottom buttocks, and then you'll re-extend your legs. You see I'm not working anything. And now when I go to feel behind the low back area, I have a slight curve, but it's not a strong curve. Now the front of my pelvis is parallel to the ceiling, and I have length and freedom in the lumbar spine. Okay? So go ahead and lie down. Those of you that need to take a blanket will take a blanket. I'm just looking at the screen, just seeing if there's any questions. So props will be used, but I'll tell you what you need later on. Don't worry about it now. You don't need anything right now. I'm just looking at chat. So you're lying down without making an adjustment. So remember, as you're doing yoga, there's this whole development of self-observation that we want to get into. So don't quickly jump to everything because the self-observation is a big part of this. So put your hand behind your lower back area, legs straight, Yeah, unless your low back is sore, you can bend it. Put your hand there. Feel how much space there is. Don't judge, just feel. Now, bend your legs. Take your hands and move the flesh of your buttocks towards your heels. And then re-straighten your legs into Shavasana. So we're not taking Supta Tadasana, some of you are. Just be with yes. So you should feel that adjustment, taking your top buttocks to your bottom buttocks, has brought a sense of length and freedom in your lower spine area. Now, move your bottom back ribs away from your lumbar spine. Yes, yes. Okay, you got the idea? Any questions there? Okay, go ahead and bend your legs, roll onto your right side, and come up. So someone asked if you need any props. I mean, I would just say in general, if you're taking an Iyengar yoga class, it's good to have some things close by. The first prop that would be good to use would be either a blanket or a towel or something like that. So go ahead and grab that. We're going to take the blanket and start to make a tight roll with the blanket. Okay, notice I'm not rolling it up all the way. Do you see? And you'll be able to change the thickness of the blanket as we go. Okay, so my knees are apart, feet are together. I'm going to find this navel band area and then put the roll right on that navel band. Okay, and then come forward, allowing the blanket roll to move my navel band area towards my lower back. Now, if anyone comes forward and you feel like, oh, that roll is too thick, then what you're going to do is make a thinner roll. Okay? I'm showing that as well. And then let's say you come forward and think the roll is too thin, then you'll make a thicker roll. Now, as we're moving through this class, be clear that breathing is as important as everything else we're doing. So if the roll is too thick and you can't breathe, then you want to make the roll thinner. Now notice how the positioning of the blanket moves your navel band towards your spine. It's that action that I gave right at the beginning, and it will be a reoccurring action. So there's something in chapter 3 of the Yoga Sutras. It's called the Transformations. It's Sutra 3:9 through 3:12. And it talks about how through the practice of yoga, we transform the mind to come into a quieter state. And from that quieter state, we start to develop ekagrata. Ekagrata means one-pointed focus. So I want you to bring this one-pointed focus today both to this navel band area and your low back, because really it's the same place. It's the front and back of the lower torso area. Now, on your next exhalation, reach your arms forward and pull your bottom back ribs forward. So you're creating that sense of extension and spaciousness. That's going to help those of you that are dealing with the slip disc, compressed discs, things like that, herniated discs. Okay, and now walk your hands back and come up. So just sit up and feel how this area has transformed as a result of doing something simple like this. This is something you could do at home anytime if you're feeling pain. So from here, we're going into Adho Mukha Svanasana, so I'll show the pose. So just watch for a moment. So before we go into the pose, we're going to adjust the low back. So often when I'm teaching, I see people preparing for dog pose. Can you see how my low back sunk down? It's exactly the action that I had Melanie do and then stop doing. So you widen your navel band, Draw your navel band up, take your top buttocks to your bottom buttocks, and then when you go into the pose, you observe whether you were able to maintain that area. So right now, when you're looking at my low back, it should look like it's moving towards the ceiling as opposed to sinking towards the floor. So it's that same idea of creating extension in the low back area. Okay, so now come onto your hands and knees. Melanie's going to show, I'm going to be with you closer to seeing what you're all doing. So come onto your hands and knees. Put your hands under your shoulders. Put your knees slightly behind your hips. So Allie, you can walk your knees back a little bit. Allie, see? Yep. Yeah, walk your knees back so they're behind your hips. I'm trying to really do it and not just stream, but really be with all of you. Now draw your navel band up. Yeah, get the arch out of your low back. So you don't want to have an arch in your low back here. That's it. Move your top buttocks to your bottom buttocks. Now maintain that stability and extension in your low back. Now turn your toes under and lift your hips up. Yes. Press your hands down. Draw your elbows in so your arms are stable. Let your head release down. Billy, can you change screens for me? Thank you. Yeah, I'm gonna try and see as many, I heard someone say she won't see you because there's a lot of people. I'm gonna do my best. I understand what you said, but I'm gonna try. So draw your navel band towards your lower spine. It's a more challenging action for most of us here. Remember, one pointed focus on the navel band, lower back region for today's class. Let your mind come into that quiet, focused state. Now bring your top buttocks towards your bottom buttocks. Remember, at any point as we're working today, you can come out of a pose. So if you feel like, ooh, that's a long hold, just come out. So this stability and lengthening of the lower back, can you go to the next screen? Thank you. Is pretty straightforward, but when it starts to get complicated is when we add the upper back. Many of you took my upper back mobility workshop. So now, maintaining that sense of stability in your lower back. Hi, Catherine, back. Now move your shoulder blades towards your chest. Now, if your upper back is stiff, your body will want to do this with your lower back. Don't let it. Okay, bend your legs and come down. Thank you. So let me show, do you mind showing? Okay, so let me show with Melanie. So she's going to go into the pose. She's going to move her navel band. I just want to see the screen. Navel band towards her lower back, top buttocks to bottom buttocks. So you could see that her low back came into a good place. Now, take your shoulder blades out of it a little bit. I want you to do the no, where you arch your back, okay? So no, push and arch. Now watch, if she drives her shoulder blades in, go Mel, and collapses her low back, do you see? That's not the correct action. Now fix your low back, Mel. Yes, now shoulder blades in. Was everyone able to see that? Okay, so we can't just talk about the low back in isolation, right? Because it interacts with the upper spine and lower spine work together. So come on one more time. I'm gonna stay with the screen. Are you okay? Okay, I just don't want to be sensitive to making Melanie do the no. So go ahead and come into hands and knees.
Sounds like it's hard to feel the back lower ribs lift. Can you speak more to the low back ribs?
So I didn't say anything about lifting the lower back ribs in this pose, but I will refer to that in other poses. So go ahead, come onto your hands and knees. Draw your navel band up. Lengthen and stabilize your low back. Take your top buttocks to your bottom buttocks. And then walk your feet slightly back, turn your toes under, and lift your hips up. Okay, so someone asked if I'm speaking about scoliosis. So far, everything I've given is fine for scoliosis, and I will be referring to that. I know that a large percentage of yoga practitioners, especially the ladies, have scoliosis. So now, draw your navel band up towards your lower spine. Come on, make your lumbar spine long. Make it long and stable. Move your top buttocks to your bottom buttocks. Now, bring your one-pointed focus on that area. Don't let that area change. And then, keeping your arms straight, move your upper spine shoulder blade area towards your chest. Come on, move it in towards your chest, any amount. That's it, Gillian. Good, yes, B, Gillian B. Yes. Okay, bend your legs and come down. So I feel like people got the idea of what is happening there. So now you can take either a yoga chair or any household item will work. I'm going to go this way. You can go that way. You're going to put the chair, you want to face that way. You're going to put the chair on your mat. Now just watch for a minute before you do. So we're coming into Ardha Uttanasana. My heels are below my hips. I'm going to show you the no. Do you see that's just a collapsed state? So I draw my navel band up, take my top buttocks to my bottom buttocks, right? And then we're going to repeat the actions we did in dog pose. And then, without moving my lower back, I've got to get my upper back shoulder blades to move in. Okay? Were you able to see? Okay, so I'll...
Can you show how you bring your upper buttocks to your lower buttocks?
Yes. So look again from, I'm going to show from the side. I'm not doing it now. Melanie, come and make a hand gesture over my buttocks for me so she can see the direction. Was that clearer?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for asking. Okay, so grab a chair. You can use a dresser, the back of your sofa. Many things can be used here. Yeah, some of you have dining room chairs. That's all great. So come into the pose, Ardha, half, Uttanasana, forward bend. And what we're doing here is we're reviewing the basic principles of the navel band alignment, top buttocks to bottom buttocks. We'll get to the bottom back ribs. It's going to make more sense as we move forward. So start with the legs, press your heels, lift your thighs up, just basic actions in the legs. And then draw your navel band up, bring your ekagrata, your one-pointed focus, to your navel band area as a means of both improving your pose and quieting your mind. And then, like I just showed, move your top buttocks towards your bottom buttocks. Now, feel a sense of stability there, length and stability. Then, on your next exhalation, move your upper spine shoulder blades down. Now I know, because many of you took my upper back workshop, that area might be tight for you. Deal with the resistance of the upper back. Don't try and move the upper back by arching the lower back, right? You have to give different body parts the proper job. Okay, and now come up and out. So those of you, yes?
Sorry, the only way I really know how to bring my upper buttocks down to my lower buttocks is through engaging with my navel band.
No.
All connected?
No. That's not the right way to approach it. So let's go now. Everyone put your back to a wall. I got you, don't worry. We'll get there. Have your feet apart. Find a wall. Some people say I don't have a free wall, but maybe you have a door. Have your feet apart. We're going to go back through what we did at the beginning lying down. So here you go. You're going to place your arm in your low back area. Just feel that space there. Yes, there should be space. No, there shouldn't be a lot. Now you're going to take your thumbs on the top of your buttocks so that you're physically shifting. You're going to bend your knees slightly and then move your top buttocks with your hands to your bottom buttocks. So Melanie's going to stay. I'm going to show from the There I am. I'm going to show from the back what I'm doing. I'm going that way. So I took my hands and moved down. Okay? And then you'll re-straighten your legs and you're still resisting your buttocks down. Okay, now you can feel behind, and there should be less of an arch as a result of that adjustment. Were you able, the gal that's asking me, were you able to feel that? Okay, from here now, roll your shoulders back, and without moving your buttocks from where they're touching the wall, take your shoulder blades forward. So the same actions we just did in the previous poses. Okay, so now come away from the wall. Now I want everyone to grab a block or something that you can use to take a couple of standing poses. I'm going to put the block on the other side. All right, so stand in Tadasana, feet together. Just waiting for everyone to stop moving. And then place your hands on your buttocks like you just did. I'll show from the back again. Now with feet together, you bend your legs and slightly drop your buttocks down. And I'm using my hands. So what we're doing here is we're doing a hands-on adjustment, right? Hands-on adjustment, because you're not getting them from your teachers right now. And then re-straighten your legs, keeping your top buttocks moving to your bottom buttocks. Now you're going to place your hands, Mel, can you turn around? Yeah. You're going to place your hands on your bottom back ribs. So now I'm answering the question that someone had. So the bottom back ribs are down here. They're lower. Right? And then she's going to lift her bottom back ribs up. Now you're not going to get much of a change in the physicality of the pose, but you start to educate your body what to do. Now keeping your bottom back ribs lifted, that's the kidney bend. Some of you might understand the instruction better from then. Take your top buttocks to your bottom buttocks. Now these are the actions that I want you to feel comfortable with as we're moving through this sequence. Okay, Mel, you can turn around. Okay, so from here, now bring your hands to your hips. We're going to step the legs apart. Some of you can jump, but because I'm doing a low back care workshop, I'm having you step just in case any of you are dealing with low back pain. Jumping isn't useful if you have low back pain. Now, as you took your legs wider, we're starting to feel the groins, right? You want the groins to soften. And then again, take your thumbs on the top of your buttocks, move the top of your buttocks down. And then lift your bottom back ribs up. You can use your thumbs. It's not really an adjustment, it's more of an awareness. Roll your shoulders back and down. Okay, from here, Utthita Trikonasana. So you're going to bend your right leg, roll your right leg out, straighten your right leg by pressing the ball of your right foot down, and then take your left heel out. Now, once again, take your hands, some of you are facing the right leg. I want you facing straight ahead. Face straight ahead. So some of you are like this, but I want you to be lateral. Yes. Okay, take your top buttocks to your bottom buttocks. Lift your bottom back ribs up. And then on an exhalation, you're going to keep your thumbs on your buttocks. Push your buttocks towards your left heel. Extend your bottom back ribs towards the crown of your head. And then put your right hand down. Now, I had everyone use a tall block, but you don't need to keep using a tall block if you don't need it. You can take the height of block that works for you. So what's important here? It's important that your legs are straight. I'm going to say especially the right leg, because that's the one that likes to bend. Take both buttocks towards your left heel. So we're taking height because it's easier to make this adjustment. And then move your bottom back ribs towards the crown of your head. So you're creating length and freedom in that lower back area. Now roll your left shoulder above your right shoulder and then raise your arm up. So we're giving extra height under the hands. So now without using your hands, you can take your buttocks to your left heel, bottom back ribs towards the crown of your head. Now, as you're here, last thing, not last, but last thing I'm going to talk about today, draw your navel band back. Feel how the pose changes when this navel band area draws gently back. And now pressing your outer left heel down on an inhalation, come up and out. Take your hands to your hips, bend your leg, and then you're going to pick up your prop and take it to the other side.
Somebody had a question. Stephanie had a question about the cue of taking the top buttocks to the bottom buttocks. Does that bring you into a posterior tilt?
No.
No.
No. Okay, so Melanie, can you turn around, come off the mat and show it? Yeah, take the block. Okay, so we're going to take a pause in between sides. So now you'll show your real left leg because your back is to them. It's not easy to be a demonstrator. Yes. So, yes. Thank you, Billy. Okay, so from here, she's moving her buttocks towards this right heel. Okay? And it's the same thing we did earlier, right? It's this. We did it when we were in Tadasana. We're doing it in Utthita Trikonasana. Now this bottom back rib area needs to lift up, and then she's going to tilt to the left. Keep pushing your butt. So she has some work to do here. Pushing her buttocks towards her right heel, extending these bottom back ribs towards the crown of her head. Now what you can see, and the reason I wanted everyone to use the block, is what you can see Melanie's doing well, is can you see that this side rib area, take your arm up, can you see that this side rib area is evened? She's not doing this, curve up, right? Because that would pull on one side of the low back than the other. So she has that, and she's not, don't overdo. She's not doing that. So we want this evenness. Now, buttocks are moving towards the heel, bottom back rib is moving towards the crown of the head, and she's in a lateral plane. It means her hips are in line with her heel, her shoulders are in line with her hips, and her head is in line with her shoulders. Does that make sense? Okay, come on up. Stephanie, did that answer your question? I don't know which screen you're on. You can tell Billy and he'll tell me. Okay. Yes, okay, great. So now we'll take the pose on the other side with a little bit more information. Start by taking your legs wide. Outer feet parallel to each other. Now take your thumbs on the top of your buttocks and push the top of your buttocks down. What many of you will start to feel is the relationship of the groins to the lower back. So I just felt as I brought my buttocks down, ooh, that was a little bit of a groin stretch, right? That's all part of it too. We'll do some Baddha Konasana work later. And then lift your bottom back ribs up. Feel a sense of length and freedom in your lower spine. Draw the navel band back. Keep your ekagrata, your one-pointed focus, there. Now bend your left leg, revolve your left leg out, press the ball of your left foot down to straighten the leg, kick your right heel out. Remember, your chest should still be pointing towards the wall in front of you, not towards your left leg. That's better. Now take your thumbs and push the top of your buttocks down. Lift your bottom back ribs up, and then maintaining those two opposing directions, lean to the left, take your buttocks to your right heel, bottom back ribs towards the crown of your head, and then place your hand down. Find the height so you too can get a feeling of parallelity between your right and left ribs. You can still use your hand, pushing your buttocks towards your right heel, moving your bottom back ribs towards the crown of your head. Now, draw this navel band area back. Right now, spread and draw that area back. Roll your right shoulder up, and then raise your right arm up towards the ceiling, coming into the fullness of the pose. Now, pressing your outer right heel down on an inhalation, come up and out. Bring your hands to your hips, turn your toes forward, and just take a moment to feel how the pose is interacting with that lower spine, lumbar spine area. Okay, now we're going to take the block to the other side and take Utthita Parsvakonasana, extension of the side body pose. It's very similar to the pose we just did, but the front leg will be bent. Just giving everyone a moment. Do you mind changing screens, Billy? Thank you. Trying to see everybody, I'm working on it. So you want to take your feet a little wider apart. And as you do, you've got to spend more time, more focus, taking your top buttocks to your bottom buttocks, right? Now, notice how your chest is towards the wall in front of you, right? There's that nice parallelity there. You want to maintain that as you bend your right leg, roll your right leg from inside out, re-straighten the leg for now. It's not the final, but re-straighten it for now. Now, top buttocks to bottom buttocks, lift your bottom back ribs up, draw your navel band back, and then on an exhalation, release your inner right groin towards your inner right knee, take your right knee over your heel, and then once again, buttocks to your left heel, bottom back ribs extend towards the crown of your head, and then you take your hand down. Take the height you need so that your lumbar spine, your low back area has a sense of length and freedom. If you feel compression, take more height. Ellie, I can see you. You're doing well. Now, once again, buttocks towards your left heel, bottom back ribs towards the crown of your head. Roll your left shoulder up towards the ceiling, and then raise your left arm up. Now, buttocks to heel, bottom back ribs towards the crown of your head again. Turn your arm and extend your arm alongside your ear. So you feel that you're creating more length in the lumbar spine by taking the arm. Now, pressing your outer left heel down. Ooh, pause, sorry. Before we come up, draw your navel bend back. That's it. And then drawing the navel bend back, now press your outer left heel down. On an inhalation, come up and out. Turn your toes forward and bring your hands to your hips. Okay, grab your block. Take it to the other side. I see some things in chat. Billy's monitoring chat.
Do you want me to ask? There's a question about the difference between the cue to hold the top buttocks down versus tilting the pelvis forward.
So I'm intentionally taking your top buttocks down because that's the correct action. So the wrong action is tilting the pelvis forward. And I wouldn't give that action because that's the wrong thing. So the correct action is to take your top buttocks to your bottom buttocks to remove any tilting of the pelvis so the pelvis comes into a neutral position. Okay? All right. So that's good. It's good to clarify early in class because it would be such a shame to not be clear and then to do the rest of the class. So thank you everyone for asking the questions because when one person has a question, others do as well. Ready? Take your hands to the top of your buttocks and move your top buttocks to your bottom buttocks. As I said at the beginning, you can do this with me, Melanie. We're looking to create a neutral pelvis. That means the front of the pelvis, which we could also call the pubic plate, and the back of the pelvis, which is the sacrum, both these areas should be parallel to the wall in front of you and the wall behind you. So it might help to think about the pelvis as neutral, not tilted. That might be helpful. Okay? And that's not only good for your lumbar spine, but it keeps all the organs that are housed in the pelvic bowl healthy. Okay, so let's go back to top buttocks to bottom buttocks, lifting your bottom back ribs up. Now bend your left leg, externally rotate your left leg from inside out, and then press the ball of that left foot down and raise your left kneecap up. Now kick your right heel out slightly. Okay, now you're taking your hands and moving your top buttocks towards your bottom buttocks. We're still looking for a neutral pelvis here. Moving your bottom back ribs away from your spine, the lower spine, excuse me, and then release your inner groin to your inner knee. Take your knee directly over your heel. Keep moving your buttocks towards your right heel, and then place your hand down. Okay, make sure that you have enough height under your hand that you're feeling that your lumbar spine is pain-free and long. Top buttocks towards your right heel, bottom back ribs towards the crown of your head. Roll your right shoulder up towards the ceiling. I'm not going to forget this time. Draw your navel band back to your lower spine. And then raise your right arm up. On an exhalation, turn your arm and use your arm to bring more space and freedom to that lower lumbar spine area. Now one more time, draw your navel band back. And then maintaining that, press your outer right heel down. On an inhalation, come up and out. Turn your toes forward, hands to hips, and step your feet together. So this teaching, I think it's relevant to talk about the transformations, chapter 3 of the Yoga Sutras, Sutra 3.9 through 3.12. What those sutras are telling us about is if we can quiet our mind and focus on one thing, then we have a sense of calmness and an ability to understand our true self. So we've heard a lot of things about the low back and the pelvis, and we have maybe a lot of instructions in our head. I'm intentionally keeping the instructions crisp and finite today so that your mind can really focus on top buttocks to bottom buttocks, bottom back ribs lifting up, navel band drawing back. And if you can work with those 3 actions throughout the class, you'll not only notice a transformation of your physical body, but you'll find that your mind becomes quieter, right? The goal of yoga, yoga chitta vritti nirodha, yoga is calming the fluctuations of the mind. So we're calming the fluctuations of the mind by using the process of ekagrata, focusing on 3 instructions and transforming our mind into a quieter place. So I'm not saying don't ask questions, but I'm just encouraging you to not try and remember everything you've ever heard, but just stick to what's being taught today, just to experiment with how it brings your mind into a quieter place. Now, of course, when the mind is out of pain and when the body's out of pain and the mind's in a quieter place, the breath starts to come into its fullness. And that's really what we're looking for also. Okay? So we're going to do one more standing pose, Ardha Chandrasana. If you have a wall to use, it's going to be easier to recycle these 3 instructions if you have your back to a wall. Okay? So Melanie and I are going to manage with the ropes. We're going to have a dance with the ropes. Take a tall block. Put your tall block, actually come close to the screen. Let me show. Sorry, I was getting ahead of myself. So come close to the screen. So I'm putting my tall block all the way against the wall. I bend my right leg, hand goes on the block, and then I take my left leg up. Okay? I have to adjust this block so it's under my shoulder. Now, taking my left hand, I'm going to move, guess what? I'm moving my top buttocks towards my left heel. I know you're surprised. Moving my bottom back ribs towards the crown of my head, and then drawing my navel band in. I've got this, drawing this navel band in. Okay? Right? Does that look familiar? Seem familiar? And it's nice with the wall because you don't have to worry about balance. If you don't have a wall and you feel comfortable doing it in the middle of the room, I'm fine with that. Alrighty, so go ahead, take a tall block, put it against the wall, and then you're going to bend your right leg, put your right hand down on the block, left hand on your hip, and then keeping your right leg straight, raise your left leg up, and then finally straighten your right leg. Pressing down through the heel, lift up through the kneecap. Now take your left hand on the top of your buttocks and move your top buttocks towards your bottom buttocks. Shift. Now, I find it more challenging here because the left buttocks are engaged, right? So you've got to see if you can relax those buttocks and extend them towards the heel. Now, keeping your left hand on your hip, move your bottom back ribs towards the crown of your head. Of the 3 instructions that I'm giving you today, that's going to be perhaps the most challenging. So someone said that already, and you were right to identify that. Now, draw your navel band back towards your lower spine. And then roll your left shoulder towards the wall and raise your left arm up. So now keep working with the extension of your lumbar spine by drawing your top buttocks towards your bottom buttocks and moving your bottom back ribs towards the crown of your head. Be in a state of focused attention. It's such a luxury to be able to just focus on 3 instructions. It's the only thing you have to think about in your world right now, so it's kind of a luxury. It might take a little while to get there. Draw your navel band back. Okay, now bend your right leg and step down. Before we take the other side, stand with your feet apart. Feel the transformative power of the pose, body, mind, and breath. And now take your block, go into the other side. You're going to put your block against the wall, stand away from the block. Bend your left leg, put your left hand down, right hand on your hip, and then keeping your left leg bent, raise your right leg up like this moon rising in the sky. Okay, take time to feel the correct alignment here. Take your right hand and shift your buttocks towards your right heel. So it's more challenging in this pose. There's a sequencing that I did where I made it easier and then more challenging because we need to be able to do this when we're moving through our day and not thinking about it at all. We want to make it sort of part of the hard drive. Move your bottom back ribs away from your lumbar spine. Draw your navel band back. Roll your right shoulder up and then raise your right arm up. Reach way up with your right arm. Now without using your hands, top buttocks towards the right heel, bottom back ribs towards the crown of your head, navel band moves back. And now bring your hand to your hip, bend your leg, and come down. Once again, stand feet apart, stand in Tadasana. Now, without using your hands, take your top buttocks to your bottom buttocks, move your bottom back ribs up away from your pelvis. Okay, so now we're going to take a chair. You're going to put the chair near a wall. You can use a doorway. You'll see what we're doing, and then you can decide what you need. Let me just move this out of the way. So we're going to do a couple things with the chair. The reason I have you near the wall is that some of you may need the wall for balance, and we're going to do a twist at one point. Okay? So watch for a moment. I'm going to press the inner edge of my left foot down and then raise my right leg up. Sorry, I did a funny thing because the mic was in my way. So you're here. Now, for some of you, Mel, can you show coming onto the seat instead of the backrest? So some of you might be more comfortable with something lower, so you can take something lower, okay? So that's what we're doing. So grab a chair, a stool, And then Melanie will show that. I'm just going to grab a bolster and show how it can be done, like in between what we showed. So you'll press your outer left heel down, raise your right foot up. Okay, so start over, Melanie. Did you see what she did? She did oh no, don't do the can. Okay, so watch Melanie again. No can. There, that was better. So part of what we're trying to accomplish here is this action, right? We're looking for this, not, okay, or maybe she went that way, I don't know. But, okay, so I'm showing now, some of you might say, well, the seat's too low, the backrest is too high, what do? You can do this, okay? And you can start to be creative in terms of different things. So I want to come to the screen. I haven't been to the screen for a while. You can watch Melanie. So now take your right hand in the root of your right thigh and take the root of your right thigh down. See if you can get both your hips, there we go. Both hips can be level. Now take your thumbs, guess what? Take your thumbs and push your top buttocks towards your bottom buttocks. Lift your bottom back ribs up and then draw your navel band back. Yeah, good, Stephanie. She took my advice about the bolster in the chair. Okay, go ahead and step down. I just want to show, it's always so good for me to see. I just want to show something before we take the other side. So as you're working this way, we want to keep that basic Tadasana alignment. So what I'm seeing for some of you, I'm going to exaggerate it because it always makes a better point, is your standing leg is so far back. Do you see how angular that is? So you don't want to have that angular nature, okay? So you want to get close up. Oh, I did a little can there too. And get the heel. It may not be directly below the hip, do you see? But it's not so far back, okay? So let's have you start in Tadasana. You'll have your heels below your hips here. Yeah, thank you, Billy. Press your inner right foot down and then lift your left leg up. Yes, good, Melanie. Now, it's okay if you say, well, if I'm standing closer to the chair, I can't step up on top of the backrest, I have to use the seat. That's fine. It doesn't, you don't get enlightened faster if you have your foot on the backrest. We're all in this together. Keep pressing the inner edge of your right foot down. Now, with your left hand in the root of your left thigh, take the root of your left thigh down. Watch Melanie as she's really pushing and working on leveling her hips. Now take your top buttocks towards your bottom buttocks. Lift your bottom back ribs up. And then draw your navel band back. Okay, and then step down. So the anatomy of the way that the legs attach to the lower back, it's not just that the muscles of the legs attach to the hips, they attach up into this lower back area. So to stretch the muscles of the lower back, you need to get the leg in a position where it happens. So we can do forward bends. This is a kind of standing forward bend. So what I always equate this pose with is, I work with people of all ages, and I work with a gentleman that's in his 80s. I don't know how old he is. And I've been doing yoga with him like this so that he can literally put his pants on in the morning. Because low backs can get so stiff that people lose the ability to put on their pants or put on their shoes. So it's not just for the lengthening and strengthening of the muscles of the low back. You can say it's a life skill. Now, I see a lot of you are young, you're not thinking about that, but maybe you have grandparents or parents that you know what I'm talking about. Okay? Now, let's do, yes. So now let's take the right leg up on the backrest of the chair. So now it's a straight leg. Okay? Yes. You're going to take your thumb to the root of your right thigh like you did before. Push the root of your right thigh down. And then, maintaining this position with your hips and legs, you're going to take your hands on the wall and come into a twist. Now this becomes important here. The lumbar spine is not designed to twist. So what I'm asking is that you take your mind to your bottom back ribs, a place that I've been focusing on the whole class, and I want you to feel that you're turning from your bottom back ribs. You're turning to the right. Another way of explaining it is from the bottom side ribs, okay? So now you'll take your right bottom side ribs away from the wall and your left bottom side ribs towards the wall. I'm going to step down, let Melanie stay. I want to see how you're doing. So you place your hands on the wall. Now, take your buttocks down, lift your bottom back ribs up, draw your navel band back, and then on your next exhalation, turn. Turn from the bottom back rib area, also known as the kidney band. Okay, go ahead and step down. Okay, so now we're going to move the chair and do the pose with the other leg. So you're right near the wall. I know for some of you having the wall there will help you feel confident with your balance. Press the inner edge of your right foot down, raise your left heel up. Place your left heel on the backrest of the chair. Now take your thumb in the root of your left thigh and drop the root of your left thigh down. Good. You can see Melanie well. I'm going to go back to the screen. I can be with all of you. Yes. Chin parallel to, yes. Okay. Now take your thumbs and move the flesh of your buttocks down. Lift your bottom back ribs up. Draw the sides of your navel back. And then on an exhalation, turn to the left. You want to maintain all the actions that we've done. Remember, ekagrata, one-pointed focus. So you're bringing your mind into a quiet place so that you can work with a one-pointed focus. Now, again, without using your hands this time, take your top buttocks towards your bottom buttocks, lift your bottom back ribs up, draw your navel band back, and then on your next exhalation, turn to the left. Can I have another screen, Billy? Thank you. Yeah. Turn to the, oh, Stacy got into class. Good. Yes. Thanks to Billy. She gave me the info. Yes. All right, everyone. Go ahead and step down. Now, I want you to stand in Tadasana facing straight ahead. You can have, I'm going to do it with feet apart. Melanie's doing it with feet together. Both are correct. You can try both and feel what allows you to bring those actions into play better. So without using your hands, take your top buttocks to your bottom buttocks. Lift your bottom back ribs up and draw your navel band back. Okay, now we're going to come to the floor. Maybe you're happy about that. So we're going to put our chairs away. And then you can get a blanket for your head if you need to have something under your head when you're lying down. And then grab a belt. Actually, at this point, it would be good to have a belt. Now, some of you may not have a yoga belt, but you can always use like the tie from your bathrobe or something like this. So the very first thing we're going to do is go back to what we did right at the beginning of class. So I want you to lie down Just lie down. Still, there's questions about the pelvis, so I'm going to answer them again. So you just lie on the floor. Everyone has a different experience here, but everyone can feel a transformation. Place your hand in this low back area. You can feel the arch. Yes, there should be an arch. No, it shouldn't be strong. Now bend your legs, put your feet on the floor. Take your top buttocks towards your bottom buttocks. Take your hands on your navel band area. Descend and spread your navel band area. And then re-straighten your legs and feel how now the front of your pelvis, back of your pelvis are parallel to the ceiling and floor. So this is called a neutral pelvis. And it's this neutral pelvis that allows the 5 vertebrae that make up your lumbar spine, or more commonly referred to lower back area, that gives them a chance to be in a state of extension and stability. And extension and stability are code words for not being in pain. Okay, now we're going to start to turn this pose into Supta Tadasana. So you roll the front of your thighs from outside in and press through your heels. Now, could you feel, I could, how the pelvis wanted to tilt, the low back wanted to arch once you connected the legs to the pelvis? This is why we did the standing pose with the bent leg stepping on the backrest of the chair, because we wanted to lengthen the muscles that hold the legs onto the lower back. We wanted them to have that freedom. Now from here, you're going to bend your right leg and hold either the front of your shin, Melanie will show that, or for some of you that either are stiffer or you have a knee issue, you're going to hold the back of your thigh. So this is also just a wonderful go-to pose if your low back feels a little sore. Now, this is similar to standing, right? The person that asked that question. Yeah, now it's a reclining version. What you can feel is that when you draw your right knee towards your chest, your lower back moves down to the floor, right? The navel band automatically starts to descend. So a lot of the actions that we were willing to happen now are happening as a result of the shape of the pose. Okay, now straighten your right leg, come back to Supta Tadasana, supine mountain pose. You'll feel your lower back moved away from the floor because the legs are straight. Now pressing through your right heel, bend your left leg. I'm going to show the back of the knee again. Melanie will show the shin. Pull your left leg in. So it's very similar to what we did standing, foot on the chair. Make those connections, those are good. Now allow your lower back to release down to your mat. It's happening, feel it. Notice the difference, right leg and left leg. So I'll just give you an example of my experience. I know you have your own experience. When I brought my right leg in, my lower back went down to the floor more than when I draw my left leg in. That's just something that I know about my body. It will change as I observe and work with that. So navel band naturally moves down. Just notice how that happens. And then release your left leg, Supta Tadasana, what happens to your low back. Now, I'm not proposing that your low back should stay on the mat when your legs are straight. It shouldn't. But, however, your pelvis should remain in a neutral position when your legs are straight. And if you have low back issues, often it doesn't. Now you have your belt. We're taking Supta Padangusthasana, supine, grab of the big toe pose. We're taking it with a belt today. So I'll see if it works to explain, and then I'm happy to show. You're going to put the belt on the heel of your foot and then bring your leg up to a 90-degree angle so your heel is directly above your right hip. Okay, I'm going to come out of the pose and then see how everybody's doing. Melanie can be in it. Yes, so if you're flexible, it's tempting to pull the leg close, but don't do that. Keep your heel directly above your hip, and then move your lower back, thank you, Billy. Move your lower back down to your mat. Have your lower back on your mat when your leg is up. Now, extend your heel up towards the ceiling. And then pull your leg down into your hip socket. So why does it matter that the thigh bone should be in the hip socket? That also is a connection that will make your low back feel better. If the thigh bone is out of the hip socket, often the low back is the place that suffers. Often the hip suffers too, but the low back will suffer. Now bend your right leg, let your right leg rest on the floor. Again, observe how your low back has responded, how your pelvis has responded, how your hip socket, thigh bone connection feels. Should feel more connected there. Press through your heels, roll the front of your thighs from outside in. When you're ready, bend your left leg and put your belt on the heel of your left foot. If anyone's not sure what we're doing here, Melanie is showing the poses. I'm staying close to the screen. I just really like to see my students when I'm teaching. Not surprising, right? Heel directly above your hip. Now, there's many of you in here that have done this pose a lot. Be sensitive to how this pose feels after the sequence we've done and after the instructions that I've given you. So as the leg is up in the air, your low back should be releasing down. This is a wonderful pose for those of you with scoliosis. Many of you, I know I recognize you and I've given you this pose, but everything we've done so far would be great for scoliosis. It's interesting that low back care and scoliosis care are similar, especially those of you that have a curve pattern in your lumbar spine. Some of you have an S, some of you just have a curve in the lumbar spine. So now press your heel into your belt and pull your thigh bone down into your hip socket. Feel whether this thigh bone and hip socket feels as connected as the last one did. Okay, now release your right leg down. Okay, so now for some of you, you're going to repeat what we did. For others, Melanie's going to show I'm off camera because I'm with the screen right now. So Melanie was nice enough to come demonstrate so I could be with all of you. So now we're going to go back to where we were. Go ahead and show that, Melanie. I know for some of you that are stiffer in the hamstrings and lower back, this might be a challenge already. But for others, you're going to walk your hands up the belt. Notice she's keeping her legs straight. And then some of you will even be able to actually hold the inner and outer edge of your foot. Yes. Surprise. Now, if you're not able to do that, that's fine. Go back to what maybe most people will be able to do. No, hold the belts. You might just be holding the belts, and that's fine. Okay, so you have a choice. You're either going to repeat what we did, leg at 90 degrees, or you're going to start to pull the leg in, because the mobility of your hamstrings has everything to do with the mobility of your lower back. That's why a lot of you that are very bendy in the low back are also very open in the hamstrings. And the alternative is true. Many of you that are very stiff in the hamstrings are very stiff in the low back. So come into the pose, hold your hands on your belt, 2 hands, it's a 2 hands, yes.
So Cheryl is asking about the position of the shoulders here. Are they on the mat
Yeah, shoulders are still down. You can, if you look carefully, yeah, it's okay if they're, so the outer shoulders can be lifted a little bit. Maybe that's what you're asking, but you don't want to have the shoulder girdle itself lifted off the floor. Yes, good clarification. So now press through your left heel, roll the front of your left thigh from inside out. Take your lower back to the floor. Come on, bring your lower back down, navel band spreads and descends. Okay, go ahead and release your right leg. Just feel how your right leg is. So we always feel, oh, that my right leg feels longer and lighter and amazing. But see if you can bring your ekagrata, this one-pointed focus, into the right side of your lower back. Can you feel that something has transformed there? You should be able to feel that. Okay, now let's do the same thing on the left side. Bend your left leg. Put the belt on the heel of your left foot. Straighten your left leg first up towards the ceiling. Some of you will stay there. Don't feel like you're missing out if you're at 90 degrees. It's a great pose to be in. Those of you that want to go further, you can slip the belt onto the arch of your foot and methodically and slowly start to pull your leg closer to your shoulder. Remember, in order of priority, I'd rather have your left leg straight than close to your shoulder. Just do what you can. Have straight arms here. Everybody should have straight arms. Raim, I'm sorry if I didn't say your name right. Straight arms, that's it. I'm also not seeing the letters that well. I'm kind of guessing. Navel band draws down. Okay, release your right leg. Your left leg. Now, Melanie is going to stay and she's going to show you the next thing. So what we're doing next is Supta Padangusthasana 1, the classic pose. Okay? And so she'll bend her right leg. She doesn't need a belt, so she's not going to use it. Is that correct, Melanie? You're going to hold the inner and outer edge of your foot. So classic in that sense. Yes. And then she'll straighten her right leg. You can use a belt, just to be clear. Now, you've got to take your lower back down to the floor, draw your navel band back, and then she's going to simultaneously bring her forehead to her shin and her shin to her forehead. Now the shoulders lift up. And then she comes down. Show it again. Navel band, yes, and down. Show it one more time. Navel band draws back. It's a strengthening, yes, and down. Okay? Can it be done with a belt? Sure. So someone asked at the beginning, are we doing any core strengthening? Here we go. We did a lot of core alignment. And now we're getting in there with, actually, we've done other core strengthening, but this you'll really feel. So bend your right leg. Either hold the inner and outer edge of your foot or use a belt. Even those of you at 90 can practice this lifting. Right, at 90 degrees, in case you were wondering. Now draw your right leg back, keeping your right leg straight. You've got to have a lot of ekagrata right now, don't you? So now focus your ekagrata on your navel band only. Draw your navel band down to the floor. Now keep your navel band moving down to the floor. Simultaneously bring your forehead to your shin and bring your shin to your forehead. Now your shoulders lift off the mat. Now your shoulders lift up. Do it a couple times, maybe 2-3 times. Get the hang of it. Make it yes, Robin. Make it a graceful, coordinated action. Go, Tracy. Good.
If you have a sciatica pain in the leg, shall you go that deep?
No, if you're having sciatic pain right now, I want you to come out of the pose, and then I want you to use a doorway and put your leg through. Do you know that? I'm not sure who's asking, but do you know how to do that?
I think so.
Okay, so you'd put your right leg up on the wall next to the door and your left leg through the doorway. I'm looking around to see if there's any way I can show it, but I think it's beyond the scope of how the cameras are set up here. You can If you can move your camera and show me, I'm happy to check it. Okay, right leg down, right? Everyone put their right leg down. Yes. Robin's like, no, I was waiting for you. Okay, ready to do the left leg? Now, she brought up an excellent point. If anything causes you pain, I don't want you to do it. If it causes you using muscles that you don't usually use, yes, I want you to do that. But nothing that causes pain. Okay, so now you're on your back, bend your left leg. We have to do the other side, right? You won't feel balanced unless we do. And then hold the inner and outer edge of your foot or use your belt. Now, sides are different. Just give your body some time to integrate straightening this leg. Remember, middle of the thigh hits back so your leg remains straight. Now, it's a simultaneous action. Draw your navel band down. Keep your navel band drawing down, and then simultaneously take your shin to your forehead and your forehead to your shin. Now your shoulder girdle has to lift up. Yeah, shoulders are off the mat. That's correct. Yes, shoulders should be off the mat for this version of this pose. She's doing it correctly. Okay, and then you've done 2 or 3, and then you can relax your left leg. So again, most of you are going to feel the amazing transformative power of the pose on the legs. But build sensitivity and notice how it feels in that low back area. Feel the freedom that came there. And then take your hand, observe the space between your low back and the floor, make any adjustments, and see if maybe you don't have to adjust as much as you were adjusting before. And then once you feel like you've had a chance to observe, you're going to bend your legs, roll onto your right side, and press your left hand down to sit up. Now I'm going to show what we're doing next. So what you'll need here is either a bolster or a couple blankets. I'm going to go back to Supta Tadasana. And then watch. I pull my right knee towards my chest, but not all the way. And then I'm going to hold my right knee and take my right leg out so that, Billy, can you tilt down the camera a little bit? So that my knee is in line with, yeah, I wanted you to see. So my knee is in line with my hip and my heel's in line with my knee. A goodly number of you did this with me the other way recently, but this is lying down. So this is a variation of Supta Padangusthasana 2, or leg to the side, but it's a bent leg version. All right, I'm going to let Melanie get in there. Then I'll roll to the side. I'll let her be on the camera, and I'll be with all of you. And let me know, Mel, when you're... Okay. To come out of the pose, you'll grab your knee and come down. Okay. So we're heating up the room, aren't we, Billy? It's like, I need to run this camera, so I need air. All right. So you lie on your back. You can adjust the flesh of your buttocks. Let your navel band release down. And then draw your knee slightly in, right knee slightly in. Hold on to your knee and then move your right knee to the side, placing your knee, shin, and foot on a bolster or a couple blankets, a cushion from your sofa, right? Many things can be used. Now take your right hand on the flesh of your right buttock and push the flesh of your right buttock away, right? Top to bottom like before. Feel how your navel band descends. Good, yeah. You know, since all of you are not having hands-on adjustments now, you can start doing your own hands-on adjustments. You can start to use your hands to feel how your body's responding in the poses. So to keep the leg on the floor grounded and straight, you want to press through your left heel and, thank you, roll the front of your left thigh, thank you, Mel, from outside in. So if you look at or feel the pose, you're in a kind of Virabhadrasana 2. Wouldn't you agree? Or a Supta Padangusthasana 2. Has your mind wandered? Are you able to keep it focused on this navel band area? And as
my groin on the opposite side. Can you speak to that a little bit?
what you have to tell me what you're feeling, and then I can.
I'm feeling it on the opposite side from the bent leg on my front groin. It's very tight there.
You're feeling it tight. So try moving your left leg out of the center line of the pose to see, and let the foot fall away from the center line. Does that help?
I have to get back to trying it.
Oh, got it. She's like, I'm in front of my, I have 9 screens, so I'm sorry I'm not seeing you exactly where, it's a little bit like the game concentration to remember where everyone is. I want her to get back there and her to tell me whether that feels better. Hi, Malona. Nice to see you. Malona used to sub for me at YogaWorks Tarzana, and I know there's some Tarzana students in here, so we're all together again. Yeah, people are waving at you, Malona. Yeah. Okay, so now you're going to take your right hand on your right knee and draw your right knee back up and then release your right leg. So the same way in which drawing your knee towards your chest brings length and freedom in the lower back, taking your leg to the side does it. Now what happens when you take it to the side is that the groin starts to play into it. And many of you who have studied with me for years know that if you have tight groins, it makes your low back vulnerable, right? Okay, so press through your heels, roll the front of your thighs from outside in, and now draw your left knee up, grab your knee with your left hand, and then take your left leg to the side. Same thing, other side. Sides will feel different. Your left knee should be in line with your left hip. It is a groin pose, so you want to soften your inner left groin towards your inner left knee. That letting go action. Lori, do you have a question? I'm right here. No, okay. She's like, I'm going on Facebook right now. Just kidding. Now take your hands on your left buttock and move the flesh of your left buttock from top to bottom. So we started with moving the buttocks symmetrically. Now we're learning to move the buttocks asymmetrically. Right? It's a refining action. It takes more ekagrata, one more pointed focus to do it. So Kenya, see if you can take more height under the leg. Looking for you. Yeah. So cramps often mean that the body's moving in a way that it doesn't usually move. Cramps aren't comfortable, but there's no harm that will come from them. You're welcome to come out of the pose, let the cramping go away, and then go back in. But cramps aren't a sign that something's going to be hurt. Pain is something I want you to avoid. Kenya, I hope you were able to come out of pain, a position of pain. If the extra height didn't work, you can just come out of the pose. That tells you something about your left hip compared to your right hip. Maybe you knew already. Now draw your navel band down. You'll feel that it naturally comes down as we are working in these leg variations. Yes, that helped. Good. Okay, good, Kenya. Thank you for checking back in, recycling back to me. So we got her out of pain and she identified it as a cramp. That's a big part of working with anything in yoga, but especially the low back. So what happens is we're working with low back, we get out of pain, right? And then we start engaging muscles that we don't usually use. And then there can be some fatigue or cramping. Actually, that's a sign that you're on the right track. So we have over 650 muscles. So likely we're not using all of them, right? The practice of yoga is designed to engage all the muscles. It might be that some of the low back muscles have gone into a lazy state. We're getting to them now, so they're cramping because they're fatigued. They're like, wait a minute, I haven't done anything for 20 years. Why are you asking me to do something now? But you don't have to stay in cramping either. I don't want you to associate yoga with being uncomfortable, because then you won't do it. Okay, take your left leg up. Let your left leg rest on the floor. Again, use your power of observation to feel how each pose that we've done is bringing a sense of freedom to that lower back area. Okay, you can roll to your right side. Melanie's going to show again. Yeah, so now she's going to take the bolster and put it next to her right hip, even tucking it under the right hip a little bit. Okay, fix your mat because it's distracting. It's near your right side. Okay, I'm just going to do it. There you go. I know it's a small thing, but no, but it's, don't you agree that when you're looking at yoga on a screen, it just helps that it's clean? I don't know, maybe I'm overly sensitive to that. But anyway, now watch. She's going to take and bend her right leg. She can hold her big toe, but if you can't, you can use a belt. I just want to teach different things to different people. And now we're going to take the leg to the side, leg straight, but we're going to allow the bolster to be underneath the outer edge of the right thigh, because this is going to bring a sense of freedom to the groin, and it's a way of keeping your low back level, not twisting and turning your low back, because we just did a lot of work to make it feel good. Okay? So go ahead and lie down. If you don't have a bolster, you can use a couple blankets, a towel. You can stick a sweatshirt underneath there if you need to. Many things can be used. Now bend your right leg. If you're using a belt, loop your belt around the arch of your right foot. Hold with your right hand only. Straighten your arm and straighten your leg. Now, move your navel band down to the floor. Now, this is getting into, you don't think about these as core strengthening, but this is in the category of core strengthening. Now, keeping your navel band moving down, thank you. On an exhalation, release your inner right groin towards your inner right knee and take the leg to the side. Now, as you do, I want you to keep a sense of your pelvis being in a neutral position. I don't want your pelvis now tilting to the right. I just want you to take your leg to the right. Pelvis stays neutral. Pelvis stays parallel to the floor and ceiling. And only the leg goes to the side. Now I'm just seeing a couple of you here, and Melanie's doing it also. So look at your outer foot and make sure your outer foot is parallel to the floor. So Jeanette, move your little toe away from the floor. Jeanette N, move your little toe away from the floor. So yes. So we don't want to distort the foot when we're taking the pose. So let's say your foot came to the floor. I don't want you to do it. You'd want the outer edge to land on the floor evenly. Okay, on an inhalation, take your right leg up again. Let your right leg rest. Can I have another screen? Thanks. Do you feel how that freedom that came not only to the leg and groin, but to the right side of your lower back? Dale, your cat's wondering if you're okay. It's concerned. Okay, now to the other side. You can even scoot that bolster a little bit underneath. Straighten your left leg. If you can hold your left big toe, do it. Of course, if not, you'll grab your belt, loop it on the arch of your foot, straighten your arm, and straighten your leg. Give it a moment. Take a couple breaths here. Keep pressing through your right heel. Stabilize your right leg by drawing the middle of that thigh down. Now, on an exhalation, release your inner left groin towards your inner left knee. Take the leg to the side. Let the groin soften and release. Thank you. Make sure your outer foot is parallel to the floor. Don't let the little toe side drive down. Nice to see you, Susan. We've missed you. Yes. You feel a difference side to side? Now, whatever groin feels tighter, that side of your lower back is tighter. So if this left groin is tighter, the left side of your lower back is tighter. Why is it a problem to have one side of your back tighter than the other? That means that the tight muscles are pulling and compressing the vertebra on one side. So it's an unevenness. And it's always a lack of symmetry that makes us more susceptible to being in pain. And pain should be avoided. Can and should be avoided. Okay, take your leg up. Good, rest your leg down. Just be with the feeling in your legs, but more interestingly, be with the feeling in your lower spine. Muscles of the lower spine. See if you can now feel that there's more symmetry there, or maybe by doing this, what was illuminated was the lack of symmetry. That's also possible. And then bend your legs, roll onto your right side, and press your left hand down to sit up. So Melanie's going to show from the side. I'm going to show from the front. So now you're going to take your belt. Don't worry if you don't have a belt. You can do this without a belt. I'm going to show how to use the belt. I'm going to just let Billy's going to just, there, thank you. So I'm going to come closer with the belt so you can see, because I know some of you might not be familiar. So there's the, I don't know if this isn't actually, I don't know that this is a working model. Let's see, thank you, Billy. Okay, so here's the belt. Do you see how it has this bar? So you lift, did you see? You lift the bar up. Yoga by Zoom. You put the belt under. Do you see how the bar dropped down? Yes. Oh, good. We're a good team, Billy. And then you bring it back through, okay? I know many of you know this, but if I was in a class and I didn't know how to do this, I would be frustrated if it wasn't given to me, okay? So now you're going to we're going to both show the pose. So it's Supta Baddha Konasana, but we're not taking it with a bolster. Okay, the way that BKS Iyengar recommends this pose is taken for low back pain is flat. So that's interesting. Some of you might dread when this pose is called in class because it hurts your low back. Now you know you can take it without a bolster. So if you have a belt, you're going to put it over your thighs and under your feet. And then you want to pull the belt close in. Okay. Take your hands and push the belt down so your top buttocks move towards your bottom buttocks. Same thing. Draw your navel band back. And then if you know what to do, just do it. Otherwise, you can watch. Melanie and I are both going to lie back. I'm going to shift my buttocks towards my heels and then lie flat. Now, if you need a blanket under your head, then you take a blanket under your head. Melanie is showing that. If the belt feels like it's too tight, you're going to sit up, loosen the belt, and then go back in. Okay, I'm now going to come out, come close to the screen so that I can help anyone that needs help. So belt goes over your thighs and under your feet. Now as you lie back, it's different without the bolster. You may need to adjust the belt. So that you feel freedom in your lower back. So Ori, go ahead and sit up. Ori F, go ahead and sit up. Yeah, don't worry. Sorry if I called your name if that embarrasses you. I don't know how else to identify you. Put the belt around your waist. You got it. Now bring the bottoms of your feet together. Belt, yes. Now make it big enough that it fits under your feet. That's it. You got it. Perfect. Happy to help. That's what I'm here for. That's why I got Melanie. She's doing it. I get to help all of you. Now take your hands, if you haven't already, and adjust the flesh of your buttocks towards your heels. I know that comes as a huge surprise to you. Ekagrata, one-pointed focus.
How close should we bring our feet toward our
as close as you can get them to the base of your torso without your low back being in pain. So as I was mentioning earlier, when the groins are open, the muscles of the low back are opened. You can feel that without a bolster, the pose becomes much more of a groin stretch right away, right? It's right away a groin stretch. So soften and release your inner groins to your inner knees. Anyone that's feeling like, whoa, this groin stretch might be a little bit much, you can make gentle fists and place them under your thighs. And that's, or if you have blankets close by, of course, you can roll blankets and put them under your thighs. But if you're feeling like, ooh, it's a little too much for me right now, you can soften the stretch by supporting under your legs. So you don't have to tell me now because you're in the pose, but I am curious, those of you that maybe find this pose over a bolster uncomfortable, whether you're finding it more comfortable without a bolster. Denise, what's your opinion about this? You can give me, Denise M, I happen to see you can give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or a so-so. She's a thumbs up person, and she's a person who's been my student for a long time, and we've been through a lot with her low back. I hope you don't mind my outing your back in a low back workshop. They don't know your last name. So that's interesting. Yes, what's up?
If one leg is much up than the other legs, there's a way to balance it?
So you can try adjusting, moving the flesh of the buttock of the leg that's up more to see if maybe the knee is up because the buttock is caught. So Hila, go ahead and, which leg is it, the right or left? Right, now take your hand on the right buttock only and adjust it. Yeah, I mean that might or might not work. You seem to help a little bit. So what that tells you is that your right groin is much tighter than your left groin, and the right side of your lower back is tighter than the left side of your lower back. So what you can do is, now she won't be the only one that feels the difference in the groins. So now let's work on using the breath as a tool for letting go. Yeah, Karen, if you've had enough, you can come up. Yeah, you're adjusting. Okay, good. Now everyone identify which thigh is further from the floor, and then use your next 4 or 5 exhalations to allow that groin to soften towards that knee. So again, we start yoga, we work symmetrically, but eventually we have to approach yoga asymmetrically because we are all asymmetrical. And some of you I see, and this is correct, you can take your hand and softly run your hand along the groin that's tighter. And you're just encouraging that groin to let go. Yes, there should be a gap between your low back and the ground. Yes, there has to be an arch in the lower spine in this pose, but it shouldn't be a strong arch. It should be a mild arch. All right, everyone, take your hands to your outer knees. Join your knees together. You're going to take off your belt and then come into Shavasana. Feel your breath. Again, you'll feel your groins, but I'm more interested in you continuing to probe your attention onto that lower back area. The lower back does all the work and doesn't get much love. So today is really using Ekagrata, a one-pointed focus on that lower back area to not only build awareness, but to build a sense of freedom and stability. Okay, now you're going to bend your legs, roll onto your right side, and press your left hand down to sit up. So now you can take a bolster or a couple of blankets. I'm just going to grab a bolster because it's handy. And we're going to go to the wall again. You can watch before you do. So you have to figure out how far from the wall to be. You're coming into Baddha Konasana, but you don't want your right knee to hit the wall. Okay, and then we're going to do a twist. Okay, I'll go through the steps. I just wanted to give you an idea, but I'll go through the steps with you. So don't come into the twist right away. Sit with the bottoms of your feet together, knees open. Take as much height as you need under your buttocks so that your knees can feel like they're moving away from each other and slightly down towards the floor. You should have some freedom here after what we just did. Ellie, you can sit on more height if you have it handy. Yeah, because so you'll see why. Now, as you're here, observe what your lower back did. Did it just push forward? Because it often does if we're asked to open the groins. So again, draw your navel band back. Take your top buttocks to the bottom. Yeah. So is that, I think it's Louise. I'm just seeing your email address. So what I would do is take your right leg up the wall and left leg through the door, and then do it on the other side as well. So if you tilt your camera up, then I can see you better. And right now I'm seeing your mat, but I'd love to see your door if it's easy. There she is. Yes, perfect, yeah. So lie on your back and put your right leg up that doorway. Yeah, if I can't see you, that's fine. It's more important that, yeah, it's okay. If you need to get out of camera to do it, I don't mind. So draw your navel band back. I'm watching you. Take your top buttocks to your bottom buttocks. And now on an exhalation, turn to the right. Put your hands on the wall like we did for the standing twist. Remember, as you're turning, top buttocks to bottom buttocks. That's it, Louisa, that makes more sense. I didn't know what belonged to what in terms of your name with your email. I knew it made more sense if you were Louisa. Yeah, Ellie, if it's easier for you, you can sit on your chair and do a chair twist. If this is just like a disaster, yeah, I'm with you. I know you. Now again, top buttocks to bottom buttocks, navel band back, bottom back ribs up. On an exhalation, turn. Turn from your bottom back ribs. Turn to the right.
Koren, if we don't have a wall, should we just turn over our right leg?
Yeah, you can do that, or you can use a sofa or a coffee table. Otherwise, just turn over your leg. Okay, go ahead and turn back to the center. Take your hands to your outer knees, draw your knees together, then you're going to turn the other way, right? Because you're going to use the wall to turn to the left.
May I have a question?
Yes.
Yes. So to take the upper buttocks to lower buttocks and to take the navel in is almost the same things because I feel the connection between the two actions.
Yes. Yes, they should be two connected actions. Very good. That's integration. That makes me very happy. That's Hila?
Thank you. Yes.
Makes me very happy, Hila. Good. Yes. Those are two integrated actions. I gave them as separate because I'm trying to introduce them, and you could tell that some people were trying to figure it out. So yes, you've arrived. Samyama on your lower back. Well done. Let's do the other side. So now take your top buttocks to your bottom buttocks, draw your navel bend back, and some others like Hila may find that, oh, well, it's happening. Like it's, now my body has that memory, and it's just doing it even before you say. Lift your bottom back ribs up, and then on an exhalation, turn to the left. Keep the crown of your head above the crown of your perineum. Now notice the difference side to side, and also notice how the low back does want to jam forward when we twist. However, the lumbar spine is not designed for twisting. The 5 lumbar vertebrae are not designed to twist. You've got to bring your attention to your bottom back ribs and move from there. And then one more time. Top buttocks to bottom, navel bend back, bottom back ribs up. On your next exhalation, take your left side ribs away from the wall, right side ribs towards the wall.
Should I resist the sensation or the actual stretch of my navel band from left to right?
No, go with that.
Oh, okay.
Go with it. Take your navel band to the left.
Okay.
Yes, good. Okay, go ahead and unwind. Take your hands to your outer knees, draw your knees together, and then straighten your legs. Okay, so from here you have a choice of 2 poses. Melanie's going to show Viparita Karni. She's going to set up with a block, a bolster, and here, a couple blankets. Now, you can set up on be in your place. So this is where you decide which of these 2 poses is right for you at this juncture. So if your low back is feeling amazing and wants a little bit more, you're going to do what Melanie's doing. If you're feeling like, okay, I'm feeling good, I don't know if I want to do anything more, I think I need to just have an opportunity for integration, then you're going to do what I'm doing, which is legs up the wall, but without the props below you. And many of you who do experience low back discomfort know that the pose I'm doing is one of those poses that can really bring relief. Okay, those of you, a couple of you talked about sciatic. I hope you brought the other leg in the doorway. Okay, so I'm going to now come out so I can see what you're doing and answer any questions. So we're in the pose before Shavasana. So in terms of figuring out what you should do, if you're feeling like, I think I just want my low back to chill out right now, then you'd take legs up the wall without support underneath. Yeah, she used the block as a spacer so that she had room for her buttocks to descend down to the floor. So someone's asking about the rotation in the previous pose. That rotation should be initiated by the bottom back ribs, not by the lumbar spine. Okay, just to answer that.
When she gets up, can she show that brick, please?
Yeah, go ahead, Melanie. Bend your knees, roll to your right side. So I will dissect her pose. Yes. So there's the brick. Yeah? She puts that right in. So right now there's a gap here. Okay? Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
It's basically just helping her keep the space.
Yes.
Don't really need it if you can keep the space.
Right. So Sophia's asking, well, maybe she doesn't want to be outed, but anyway, Sophia, what you can do, you can do, so some of you might feel like, oh, I just feel like a lot of pressure in my abdomen. It seems like a weird time of month to have that. What can I do? You can take the pose I'm doing, legs up the wall, but legs apart. It also can be done from Melanie's setup. The trick is to have the legs apart. Yes. Great. Coming back to be what you're well. Yes.
Question.
Yes.
You say that the groins are connected with the low back.
Yes.
Right? So if the groins are stiff, the pain will go to the lower back, right?
Yes.
So if you practice bicycle, for example, and you make an effort in the groins, that can make you have a lower back pain?
So do you mean riding a bicycle?
Yeah.
So riding a bicycle isn't, I mean, it can make your groins tight, but it mostly makes the quadriceps and calves tight. But riding a bicycle can make your low back hurt because of the position that you're in on the bicycle.
Okay.
It
So,
makes...
maybe I should do the same, going the buttocks, the top buttocks to the down buttocks, while I ride the bicycle.
Yes. And also, I don't know what kind of bike you're riding, but a more upright bicycle is better for low back health. So if you're a more upright bicycle. So if you think about a bicycle for speed, think of, those 10 speeds and they're bent over the bikes. Those are good for speed, but they're terrible for the low back. So
Like a mountain bike.
yeah, they're more upright. Yeah. So be mindful of the position of your buttocks and core when you're riding your bike. Yes.
Okay.
Good. Yes, I like that you're applying the teachings to what you do in your free time. That's great. Perfect. Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. These are such fun workshops to do, and thank you everyone for coming, and thanks for those of you that had questions and felt comfortable asking them.
Are the blankets over the block, or is the block separate?
The block simply creates space between the bolster and blankets and the wall. I know it's hard on the format we're using to see everything. Thank you for clarifying.
Can I please answer the question?
Oh, could you show the setup again?
I can show it, but we're going now into Shavasana, but I'll show it, Rhonda, so you know. So everyone, Melanie's going to show you. Everyone bend your legs. If you're on a bolster blanket lift, you're going to slide off the bolster blanket lift, bring your buttocks down to the floor. Those of you with just a legs up the wall pose, you're going to bend your legs, roll onto your right side. Everyone can now roll onto their right side. Can you show her the rest of the setup, Mel? So she's not putting it on top, she's putting it next to Rhonda. And then now set up for Shavasana. And the setup we're going to do for Shavasana, if you have a chair, you're going to take a chair and put your legs up on a chair. If you don't have a chair, you can use your sofa or an easy chair or a dining room chair. Oi, sorry, I have a microphone. Sorry if I turned it off. Did I turn it off? No. Okay, good. Now, I want to answer the question about the low back. If you're taking this pose with legs on a chair, then your low back should be resting on your mat. If you're taking a classic Shavasana, that's a different story. I'm letting Melanie come into the pose. I'm coming back to be with all of you. Yeah, so the question is there a reason we always roll to the right side? So the reason we roll to the right is because the heart is on the left side of the chest. We don't want to always put compression on the heart when we're rolling. And then I'm not teaching another upper back neck workshop. However, in August, the end of August, I'm teaching a knee workshop. But you're always welcome, Carly, to take my classes because upper back mobility is like really the subtext of my yoga practice because of my own personal experiences having wires in my sternum plate and a lot of tightness there. So please, I think the Institute's still sending out like a special, and you can get the special and take some of my classes, and I'd love to work with you in that way.
That's my area too.
Okay, great. So I'm going to be a great teacher for you to work with. I know a lot about it.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Even in prone postures, is the action of the lower ribs still moving towards the head?
Yes, but it's harder to get, so I didn't give a lot of those instructions. Okay. Yeah, it's harder to get. You're welcome. All right, everyone, so now take at least a minute to be in a quiet Shavasana. Time in such a great way got away from us today just because there was a lot of interest and a lot of information shared, so I appreciate all that. But just take a moment. Take a moment to observe your lower back, abdominal area. Observe your breath and state of mind. And then gently draw your knees towards your chest. Let me just say this, if you want to stay in Shavasana and not come up, you're fine to do that, don't mind, but I want to honor your time. It's noon, so I want to finish on time. Roll onto your right side and then press your left hand down to sit up. Billy, can I have the other camera? Thanks. All right, everyone, it was such a pleasure. Please feel free to take my classes or any other Institute teachers' classes. We'd love to have you. And next month on the 23rd, August 23rd, I'll be talking about the knees. And whenever I talk about the knees, I'll also talk about the hips. So you can see we're moving along the major parts of the body to bring a sense of freedom and healing. Namaste, everyone. Have a beautiful Sunday. Thank you again so very much.